Okay, so my guest this week is he's a new friend of mine. We met at church, and this is a it's a cool. I don't know. It's just cool how we met. I mean, I'm always very easy at meeting people and stuff like that. But you were also someone who, I don't know. I just got drawn towards you, and it was very easy to talk to you as well. You know, I don't know if you might not find yourself as like out there as I am or something like that, but you're definitely the way you received it, you know, and everything was really good as well. And so, yeah, this is my new friend. I don't know a whole lot about you, but I'm excited to learn more about you and, create kind of a friendship and a cool, and a cool relationship with this as well. And so, yeah, Mwamba, right?
Gracey Mwamba.
Gracey Mwamba.
That's Mwamba is the way that people say it here, but it's actually said Mwamba.
Nice.
Like Gracey Mwamba.
Gracey Mwamba. Nice.
Yeah. Pleasure, man. That was very kind of you to say those things. I appreciate that.
Oh,
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I mean, how was your day? How's the cold? It's really cold, eh?
Yeah, it's cold, but I mean, it's Alberta. That's what we signed up for.
Yeah, that's true. Did you? Because you're not originally from Canada, right? So, what state are you from?
I'm from the Congo.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Oh, crazy.
Where I was born.
Oh, crazy.
So literally on the equator.
Yeah.
Literally, where it's like as warm as it can get for as long as possible. There's no winter. That's where I was manufactured.
Yeah.
But I moved out when I was really young. So I moved to Belgium, Germany, then subsequently to Canada by the time I was 5 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I'm mainly Canadian.
Yeah, so you didn't experience the heat too much as like
as I remember, but
Yeah.
what I always say is my genetic makeup was designed and fabricated to survive there.
Yeah.
I've since then learned how to adapt to here, but
Yeah.
I don't think I was made for this.
No.
Matter of fact, I know I wasn't made for this.
No, and I don't think that many people were, like, the original people on Earth were like in the desert, basically, it was just,
Right.
Egypt and all that, and
Right.
over in Jerusalem, or, yeah. Actually, it's interesting because, like, the people who were originally here, like, I don't know, Aboriginal, I guess is the correct way to say it, but, and I don't know for sure, but I always noticed, like, my wife, she's Spanish, and so I see a lot of Spanish people, or I've just been around a lot of Spanish people. I've always noticed, similarities in the faces and stuff like that, and just in just the even the bodies and stuff like that. The way that they kind of made up, and so I've always wondered if, like, Aboriginal tribes, like, all over the world, were originally potentially Spanish people, or part of kind of all, because they didn't just start here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, with the whole it's the Tower of Babel, right?
Right.
Yeah, so, like, where originally where everyone was together, almost, kind of thing, and then the all the languages and everything got spread out across the world.
Right.
So, like, was that when the Aboriginals came to Canada, or did they come? It's kind of interesting,
Yeah,
in a sense.
That is very interesting. That observation seems to be pretty accurate. I don't know too much about, like, world migration history. I do have some interest in it because, I mean, everyone has got different phenotypes and different adaptations to their environments. But like you said, the Aboriginals of the Americas have a consistency of how they look. So if you think about people from South America, that is America. People from North America, Central America, those are Aboriginals that seem to have migrated up and down the Pacific coast, because the Pacific coast, the mountain range goes from Alaska all the way down to tip of Chile, right? And Peru. And so when Christopher Columbus came, he wasn't fighting the Aborigines of North America. He never stepped into the U.S.
Okay,
He was in the
yeah.
Caribbean island.
Yeah.
So all his stories and all his conquests that he had, it was against Aboriginals of I would say Central and South America. So it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the Spaniards, because I've been to Spain,
Okay.
people in Spain look like you. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, most of them are blonde hair, red haired, brown, blue eyes, whatever. They just look like typical Europeans.
Okay.
And then here when you come down to South America and the Latinos, they look very different. They have that darkness. They have that Aboriginal mix. It seems like
there's some that are like mistaken for black almost too. Like they get so dark.
Some of them. It's cool, man, because like we don't really have a full idea of how everyone's spread everywhere. Yeah. Because you'll follow consistency of how people seem to look. Because I think the official story is what I think I've heard. Anyone that listens to this can correct me and probably think I'm crazy. Yeah. No, I may be way off.
That's what this is all about too, right? Yeah.
Is a lot of people came from China and Asia, and then they as they were hunting and gathering and migrating. They made the way across Russia, which then the land bridge between Russia and Alaska was very prominent back then. And then they made the way across and then all the way down. And then so there's a lot of a similarity with like people from the Asian islands like Filipinos and people closer to like Cambodia and Thailand. And if you look at people from like the Inuits, they don't look too different. And then the variation.
No, yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, you can get definitely some almost Chinese looking, in a way, Inuit people. Yeah. Like their eyes are very squinty kind of thing, and it's interesting. The same skin tones too. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yes, it's crazy. There's a lot of variety and a lot of similarities. If you go to Africa as well, even within my country, the Congo, we have a massive diversity of what people may look like. Most
like
of us,
light skin kind of thing, right? Like light skin, darker skin. Yeah.
The most contrasting is the pygmies that live there. Okay. So if you're familiar with the pygmies?
No.
These are really short people.
Okay.
They are not what you would, people previously would have called as midgets or whatever. Like, sorry if I'm being derogative. I don't
dwarfism. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have they don't have dwarfism. They don't have a condition. They literally have a similar proportion as you and I. Yeah. But they don't grow any taller than like 4 feet tall.
Wow.
Yeah. That's full adults.
And are they like built too? Probably, right? Yeah.
They are, man. They climb up trees, like 100-foot palm trees, to get coconuts, or coconut trees to get coconuts, with no harnesses or anything. They just it's pretty wild. 100 feet is really high.
Like I'm imagining like 2 different tribes running at me, and I don't know, for some reason, like that sounds more scary than a bigger group of men running at me. I don't know why. That's hilarious. What were you gonna say? Something?
Oh, I was just going to say that I do appreciate how you started off the podcast by talking about like building a friendship, and you just seemed to kick it off. I wanted to personally say that, you just looked the part from the moment I saw you at church. And so how we met is we were at the church that I go to. I volunteer and I'm very active in it. And you were a guest, or not a guest. I mean, you kind of, you were newer, we'll say.
Looking to make a home, yeah.
Making a home, and a lot of people kind of have an approach of like sit back and watch and they don't really get too active. But you came straight to prayer group, which is already uncomfortable because you sit down with a bunch of people you don't know and then you pray out loud, which it's a nightmare for a lot of Christian people. A lot of people. And then, but you took ownership of that. You went in that prayer group right away, and praise God, you just started going off and praying for the people in our church and praying for the youth and the children and our civilization, our society. And I was taken aback. I'm like, man, this guy right there, number one, he's obviously has some level of confidence and self-esteem that I respect. So I just wanted to say hi. I was like, hey, how you doing? What's up? And sure enough, just like I thought, you were very easy to interact with, and that's the kind of people that I always want to get myself around. No. So that's why, I think on my end of things, I wanted to reach the hand across the aisle in a way, and you reciprocated, so I didn't look like a fool, which I appreciate. Now here I am on your podcast.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Oh, that's so cool. I appreciate that a lot. And like, it's funny because like, you saying I'm cool, like I'm not trying to just go back to the colored thing or whatever, but as a white guy, having a black guy tell you you're cool, that's like up a level kind of thing. I told my wife, I texted my squad kind of thing,
Oh man, yeah. Okay, thanks. I'll take that as a compliment.
No, 100%. And like, it's I grew up in. I took to heart when God says, every sin is a sin, and like all people are equal, and like something about that just stuck with me like so hard, and that it just made me go like, I'm no better than anyone else, and nobody else is better than me, and like I know that for a fact. So why would I ever have to worry about talking to someone kind of thing? Because it's just they're just a person. You know what I mean? Obviously, I try to give respect to authority. I mean, I try. It's not it's not easy, but I do have a problem with authority. Like I definitely do. And but yeah, it's funny actually. So that I don't know. There's a story. My mom, my dad passed away before I turned 12, and my mom had kind of fallen away from the church a bit, but she wasn't fully fallen away yet. But some of the people that were there for her, they didn't go to church, but they were there. They kind of worked with my mom or whatever, and so they were good friends with her. And they were the people that were there for her when my dad died, basically. Or at least she felt that she could connect with them, just be whoever she wanted to be around them kind of thing. And, they were, you wouldn't, in Edmonton, you would consider them kind of like trailer trash type people or whatever. But like, again, to me, they were just the one guy, he had like the punk pants and stuff like that. Like they were just who they were. They were letting their freak flags fly, and they didn't care, right?
Right.
And the one guy had like tattoos everywhere and like crazy mohawk or whatever. And so like the pastor at the time, he saw my mom hanging out with these people or whatever, and he like took it upon himself to walk across the street and tell my mom that he shouldn't be hanging out with these types of people. She shouldn't be hanging out with these types of people.
That's how you lose people.
Oh man, she's like, well, now that's all I'm gonna do, like, yeah. And that's that confidence in her is definitely put on me for sure, and it's
the defiance to like authority that's unjustified.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna have some level of authority, it needs to be fully justified. And when you're a parent, that's put in your face.
Yeah.
Hey, kid, stop splashing in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
You're gonna make a mess on the tiled floor. It's tiled. Yeah, things like that. Or put on a coat. It's cold outside.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm cold.
Yeah.
Oh, good point.
Let them make their own just mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, we do that with our kids too. A lot of the time, it's like, and then not so much anymore. When they were younger, it was like, very much natural consequences kind of thing. And it's like, okay, if you have to stay in your room until it's clean, basically.
Right.
And if you choose to play in your room for the next 5 hours, then you're stuck in your room for the next 5 hours kind of thing. That's the natural consequence of it. I don't think I need to sit here. I will. If I see that you're coming out of your room over and over, I will, coerce you into it or whatever. But I don't need to sit here and, continuously get mad myself, right, as a parent or frustrated as a parent. It's like that was one thing. Even as my youngest, we taught him baby sign language like right off the bat. Yeah, sorry, these chairs aren't the comfiest.
I'm good, bro.
But we taught him baby sign language right off the bat because I was like, I get more or whatever. I don't even remember it exactly, but it's like more. Or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
More, please.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
And like,
and
like up or whatever kind of thing. And so it was just like I'm not gonna sit here and try to interpret your cries kind of thing, And like, I'm gonna teach you how to talk back to me kind of thing. And in that level, it's interesting how our kids have grown up. They feel. You hear that little.
No.
Oh no. Every now and then there'll be like a little. For some reason, this thing can pick up like some sort of radio signal or something like
really?
that. Yeah.
No, everything's fine.
You can't hear it in the audio once it's done, but so like, but even now as they talk, like they're so confident in their talking, and they know that like they can talk to anybody and just be very upfront, and like my kid, like I was.
Yeah, it's important to have the kids let the kids know that they have a voice.
Yeah.
And they can challenge authority.
Mm-hmm.
And I think on our end of things, it's important for us to be able to equip them to know how to have respect for authority, and we can deal with the challenge in a way where we give and take.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was he's in the military. He was a captain, so he was very authoritarian. But I saw him. Then he softened up in my teenage years when he saw he was going to lose me by being too authoritarian.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, but I believe that there's a dance there. There's a dance of you're still an authority to your children. You're still strong as a father, I believe. And at the same time, I think they need to see my humility. That's the most important thing. And my humility really comes from saying that, okay, let them understand that you matter as a person. Overall, you matter in my life. Your voice and your input is very important. But ultimately, I have veto power. Just so you know, I have veto power. But I want to hear what you got to say. And if it makes sense based on our family vision, mission, and what we're about as Mwambas, then you know what? Then I don't mind letting you have it if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I will let you know it doesn't make sense. I'll tell you why. And then maybe it's not yet. It's a not yet. Maybe when you're older, it's something you can explore for yourself. That's like the approach that I try to take with my kids, because I think we've been called by God to lead our families with love. But it also says parents do not provoke children to anger, which I think is Ephesians 6 chapter. I want to say Ephesians 6 verse. I want to say 5. Yeah, or 4. Yeah, or 5. 4 or 5.
I believe.
But I just read that recently with my son. That's why I remember it.
How old's your oldest?
He's 11.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have around the same age.
Yeah,
right?
they're around the same age. And going back to what you said there, a lot of society has, not that they got it wrong, but they focus a lot more on making the path for the child rather than preparing the child for the path. Because you can't really prepare the path all that much, because you can maybe get a few steps ahead of them, make sure that that's okay, but that doesn't get the best bang for the buck for them to be leaders and movers in society when they take the mantle from us. Because at the end of the day, as men, we're raising our replacements. So our sons are going to replace us in this world, and hopefully they replace us as an upgrade. And not necessarily a downgrade or even the same. That's the greatest honor to our family name. Is that if we're able to have an upgraded version of ourselves who moves our legacy, our mindsets, our values forward in society. And I think that you do this by preparing the child for the path. Because what does the path look like now? I think the path right now looks a lot as it's the devil's path in a lot of ways. And having spiritual strength, having a strong family root, having a good moral compass, knowing exactly what's important for them and where they want to go, a vision, mission for our family on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly basis, reviewing those things. There's some things that we do with our family as much as possible.
Even like your youngest.
Yes, ever since they were really young, since my son was about 5 and my daughter was 4, we've had Sunday family meetings where we set goals. We discuss our goals as parents as well, what we're going to do. They hold us accountable to it. We have goals that, like our goals would be like business goals, maybe. Like, here's what our family is going to do to advance our business forward, so that this is the kind of life that we can live as a family. And my wife may have organizational goals. Here's what I'm looking to put in order so that we can go on a trip vacation or whatever it is before the end of the month or so. And then, our kids have smaller goals. I want to get my homeschool done by 10 a.m. every day or whatever. I want to have this amount of clients for my snow shoveling business or small things that they do. And we review them, and then we keep each other accountable the next week. So did you do what you said you were going to do, Dad? I tried, kids. Okay, well, I'm glad you tried, Dad, but we want to follow your lead, so make sure you give a good example. Okay, I got you. Do
you find them completing their goals a lot more than you complete your goals?
No, because I want to be a good example.
Oh, okay.
So I make sure that I do what I got to do.
So do you try not to set your goals too crazy for the like? So do you have like a weekly goal and then like a yearly, monthly goal and yearly goal is what you said, kind of thing?
Yeah, the weekly goals bleed into what a monthly goal is. Snowballs.
Okay.
Into hopefully an avalanche by the end of the year type of thing.
Okay,
That's like
yeah.
the mentality.
Yeah.
So the weekly goals that I do, that I set forth, I make sure that I hit them as much as possible. Sometimes I don't hit them, but I set them nonetheless, and I try to teach my kids how to set realistic goals and expectations, and make sure to follow through. That's the biggest thing that I want to teach them.
Yeah.
Because follow through creates confidence.
Yeah.
And if you think about the root of what low confidence comes from, it's from lying to yourself. When you lie to yourself, that means you're portraying an identity that you don't agree with. And then that usually comes by not following through on certain things. So when you say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds by the end of the month. Okay. All right. And then you set a goal. Every morning I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m. and I'm going to work out for an hour, and then I'm going to not eat carbs. And you set all these goals. All right. You told yourself that, and you're listening. Like your subconscious, your conscious, whatever. You as a self is counting on. So the future you is counting on present you to follow through. It gets stored.
Yeah.
And then so when you face when future you and becomes present you and faces past you, then you ask yourself the question: will you actually do it? Are you actually going to follow through? And then when you start having that internal doubt of where your identity and your actions don't really match, then your identity where your goals and your actions don't match, then your identity changes. Then you start telling yourself, maybe I'm not the kind of person that actually works out. And but the best way to change that identity is by actually getting up. If you get up at 7 a.m, like you said you would, you work out, you check all your goals. When you're done, at the end of the day, you're like, man, I'm that dude. I did do it. And then the next day, you're like, I'm the kind of person that wakes up. So you then wake up again. You follow through the third, fourth day, then you're like, that's just what I do. I'm that dude that wakes up and does what he's gonna do. And then by achieving your small goals that you set forth, you're affirming to your future self that you're gonna do it, and it's gonna happen, and it's in the bag. And you walk with a level of confidence that a lot of people don't do, because a lot of people just say things and they post it, they shout it out, they talk about it, and they don't follow through, and it just absolutely kills you as a man. And if you have a woman watching you and she sees you as somebody who doesn't follow through, that's a double dip on your self-image. And I'm speaking from experience, by the way.
No,
I'm not speaking from theory.
No, and it's interesting because, like, I feel like you just described my roller coaster with this podcast, and it's just
That's every man.
And it's just like,
every man.
And my goals are a lot more, I'm not worried about working out at this moment. I should be worried about working out, but like, my goals are more like, just get up kind of thing, and it's like, oh, I made it through work this week. Okay, I'm good kind of thing, and like just small things with this, or, trying to record and stuff like that. But like, yeah, it's just interesting.
But here you are, you follow through, man.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
That's the crazy part. And I find, too, like, we homeschool, and you were saying you guys homeschool too, and like, it's just so much easier to do that, create that family, that bond, with your family, because you're just around them, all the time. And, I wish that everybody, I wish that I wish when COVID's, caused everyone to start homeschooling, I wish that it was a more enjoyable experience, and that people actually wanted it, and they looked at it as an opportunity to be with their kids. And that didn't really happen. It didn't, it's like, I think we had an opportunity to like have almost like a sick reset with like schooling, and then the way our kids are brought up and stuff like that. And and I'm not saying that that's like what God planned or whatever, but it could have been. And I always like, I don't like to think about like what could have been, but at the same time, I can't help it sometimes, and it's just like, just the relationship, we didn't have kids to send them away for 8 hours a day, and
right, exactly.
We like our kids, and it sucks on the body. It sucks on me that I have to, like my mind, it's racing all the time, that I have to, suffer for my family in a sense, and I'm not trying to say that I'm suffering, but sometimes it feels like I am. You know,
it's a sacrifice, right?
it is. It
We're
is. Yeah.
supposed to sacrifice ourselves as Christ sacrificed himself for the church. I mean, that's first ordained for our marriage,
Yeah.
right? That's what it's out there for, and then but subsequently for our kids as well.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be that sacrificial force, so that they can prosper in whatever God has put for them to prosper. And I think that a lot of people in our society, this is only my theory, could be controversial to say this, but
Please.
a lot of people love the idea of loving their kids more than they actually love the kids. And I'm not even
Like
saying
posting about it kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, I'm not saying people don't love the kids, because I know how much people love the kids, but even the concept of people will say like, I love my kids, I would die for my kids. I'm like, I get it, but would you live for your kids?
Yeah.
Which is a different thing.
Oh yeah.
Would you put aside your selfish ambitions for your family? Would you put them first before your hobbies? Right? A lot of people, you love your kids very much. That's it's all good. Are you willing to give up a job or work more, or have mom stay home, or whatever it is? But you live in maybe in a way that's not going to be as flashy for your friends, and not going to, the response is not going to be as statusy. By your you're not going to receive as high a status by your peer.
Yeah.
But are you okay with that? Are you okay living a lower lifestyle so you can be debt free and maybe have a little more time and give that time to your kids and to your marriage? But most people, COVID, I think, really exposes. Most people actually get very, very fatigued and tired and love the free time a lot more than they love spending with the kids. A lot of dads, and I think I was guilty of that as well. We have a hard time, getting off of like the phones, fantasy football, or
YouTube's mine.
YouTube, whatever it is, and actually spend an hour of undivided attention with our kids, and spend yet alone 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of like being there with them. So homeschool is a lot different because you actually are living. For your kids. It's easy to die for whatever because you take a bullet, it's over. You're with God.
it's quick.
But to live is continuous, man. It's sacrificially living. It's a little controversial to say this. I think people do love the children, but the actions of loving could be love is an action verb, right?
Yeah.
And it's also subjective to whoever is receiving it.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of psychology books about this, 5 love languages, love and respect, so on. So you can be like, I love my kids. I go and I work for them really hard all the time. Okay. What if they spell love not Love, but Time?
Yeah.
If they spell love like that,
Yeah.
then are you willing to give them that level of love? And if not, are you willing to look inside and think to yourself, okay, am I actually doing this for myself, or am I doing this for the ones that I love? That's what I love about the show Breaking Bad. The whole show, it was about, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for my family.
Yeah.
And when the family's like, we don't want you to do this, he's like, yeah, maybe I'm right. I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
I like this. I like being this bad guy.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I mean, there's sometimes where I'm like, am I a good dad or whatever, right? And you always I don't know if this is a normal thing to question, Okay, it's cool.
Bro, it totally is.
I mean, and I think that people who do question that are potentially, good dads. I think generally
it's on your awareness.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like you're weighing it against something, so of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you guys do any like public school or anything like that, or were you always homeschooled?
Yeah, they were in private school. It's private Christian school. It sounds fancier than it was.
Yeah, no.
It was a small, tiny church school.
Yeah.
It's privately funded. They were really underfunded. Teachers were doing this because they thought it was the right thing. They were not getting paid that much. So when I say private school, it sounds like, ooh, bougie. No. It was like, this is, we're doing this because we feel like it's the right foundation to start them in. And it was at a small church, and the school entirely, at the time, there was only about 90 kids in the whole school from K to 9, K to 8.
That's still crazy, though.
Yeah, now it's double plus. And they had a phenomenal kindergarten foundation there that, honestly, the kindergarten teacher there, she is unreal.
That's basically like homeschooling in a sense, I feel like.
It wasn't homeschooling because we they were still being managed. They were still
I
being
guess, yeah, yeah,
yeah, the biggest thing with homeschool, that the reason why we chose homeschool is because um we believe that our children want to be mentored, not managed. And you can't mentor 25, 30 people at a time. The speed at which you move at school is at the speed of the slowest student. And it's more about teaching compliance than it is about teaching an understanding of how the world actually works.
yeah, yeah,
You get in trouble for copying, daydreaming, and talking to your peer.
yeah,
These are phenomenal qualities to help you be successful in life.
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
to dream of big things, to copy what other people have done that you've done, and also to have a high level of communication with people around you. These are basic. So why are you being punished for things that can actually help you?
yeah.
Because
It's
they need
interesting.
you.
Those are things that you use to get ahead in life as
Yeah.
you're older, kind of thing.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
then another thing with school that's backwards from life is in school, um, you you take a lesson and then you get tested. That's not true. In life, you get tested first, and then you learn a lesson. And so there's a lot of things that I just didn't want my kids to fall into the mindset of. I think the core subjects, math, science, social science, actually minus social because that's actually propaganda.
Yeah, yeah,
Math, science, and English language and options. These are great things that I have no problem. I think you can teach these things without having a system around them.
yeah,
I that's what I think. I think that sure, here's your math. That's what we do. Math
yeah, yeah.
and science, math and English are the three things that we really focus. Everything else we just teach them life experience.
Yeah,
Teach them
yeah.
how to build a business. Teach them how to save money, how to spend it, how to give. And we're not perfect. I'm speaking strongly in what we do because we just have a plan, but I'm not saying that we're good at it.
No, yeah, no.
Like we actually
No, you have struggling days. You
we
know,
have struggling days, but
yeah,
we have a plan and we have mentors in our life.
Cool.
And we follow an example, and we hope that it's going to turn out to be have the fruit of what we've seen people who have implemented that to be.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, man, that's unfortunate. But I think that God's got a plan for our kids.
That's cool, man. Are you guys part of like a program kind of thing, like with other families and stuff like that?
Yeah, we're part of a program called Wisdom.
Okay, I think actually
What
that
about
might
you
be the
guys?
same one
You
that
guys too?
we're. Yeah.
What did you guys choose to homeschool? I totally took over there and never really.
No,
asked you.
I appreciate it. No, I feel like sometimes I can talk too much, so I like it.
That's me, man.
For me personally, and my wife might have a little bit of a different. I think that mainly it's we really want to spend the time with our kids and really want to put the time into our kids. But like also, like, my oldest, he did go to public school. And it was like the first week he came back, he's like holding up both of his middle fingers, and he's just like, "What does this mean to us?" kind of thing. And we're just like, it's not that we really want to shelter our kids, but at the same time, we do want to shelter our kids. We want to let our kids be kids, and we don't want them to have to grow up so quick,
Yeah.
And that was a big one for me, and it just really just like, yeah, like there's so much crap in the world right now, and I just, not that I don't think that all teachers have an agenda or anything like that, but I do believe that some do, and I do believe that, especially in a liberal government, I'm not super fond of having my kid being taught by the government in a sense, and it's crazy, like people will say like, oh, they don't get to hang out with people or whatever. It's like, they hang out with more people and they hang out with like adults. Like they hang out with like, they do have their peers and they have their friends with the program or whatever that they have, 5-6 field trips a month or whatever. They do all these different sport things or whatever kind of thing. But then they actually get to hang out with adults and like learn how to converse and have conversation. And, and like my kids literally will go up to any adult and like, they're not like, like shy or whatever, and it's like they're confident, and it's I love it.
Yeah, and like the word friend, let's talk about that word for a second. The other I think what school teaches people how to do is have friendship made out of convenience, and that's again another success principle. If you want to be successful in life, you want to be intentional about your relationships and your friendships, because no matter how many friends, quote unquote, you have in school, when you get out of school and you're actually trying to go somewhere in life, the number diminishes tremendously. It just happens that you're around people and just socializing and have surface level relationship with a lot of people and some deep relationship with some people. So why not get rid of the fluff as well, in a way. And then so I don't think friendship necessarily has to do with like the length of time you've had knowing somebody. It's really about the depth that you have with them. Like, do you have similar values? Are you going places together? Do you guys think alike? Like, do you guys look at see how you complement each other in your future moving forward? These are we want to teach our kids how to qualify what a friend actually is. Like someone who's loyal to you, loyal to them, and who acquaintances are, which is people that are kind of just around, you're polite, you're cordial to, and who people you should avoid. And we want to be able to be the sounding board of what that looks like, and kind of equip them rather than them trying to figure it out by themselves, plus being equipped and getting perspective from someone else who has no experience with it, like another 12-year-old or another 11-year-old who has no clue how to actually be good at making good association, giving my kids tips on that, where they can bounce it off of us real time as it's happening, and have the confidence of being like of identifying certain things, like, oh, okay, why would that person act this way or talk like that or say this? Maybe this person there is hurting. Maybe this person there is lacking attention in his life. So it's attention-seeking behavior that they're doing. It's like, okay, so I see what's going on here. Maybe that's not what I'm looking to get around for now. Oh, this person right there. Wow, look at them. They're doing things the way that I would do things. Let's have a conversation about this. Let's kind of see how things go. And if it doesn't go that way, let's not try to seek their approval, because that's not something that you want to be able to do. Because a lot of friendships in the school system has a lot of dynamic of hierarchy, where it's like certain people are elevated in hierarchy, very cliquey for good things. Like they may be strong, athletic, or they may be funny, or they may be this, and that. And a lot of people try to gain their approval, and based on like the level of approval you get from those people that you've identified as the king of the school or whatever it is, that's what determines your worth with school. And then you start giving yourself a belief system of who you are based on a comparison to someone who's getting approval from other kids who actually don't know who to approve.
No, for sure.
And
just
but anyway.
when you said the like, well, why is that person saying that or doing that or whatever? I just remember one time we were walking down White Ave, and like there's this guy, and he's just like staring at this newspaper box, and he's just giving it to the guy in the front of the newspaper. And my son's like, "Why is he doing that?" And I'm like, "Well, that's because he's on drugs."
Facts.
That's funny.
Do you keep it real with your kids? You talk about drugs, sex,
alcohol,
everything,
That's
violence?
That's the thing is too, is we live in a 900 square foot apartment. You know what I mean? It's hard to, if I want to kiss my wife, I'm not gonna just drag her into the room and do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm not worried about it.
I need to see that.
And like the thing is too is like because they do see us when we fight, or we try not to or whatever, but like they also see us in our glory as well, and like that's something I was saying to you before. It's like they've seen us in our hard times, and we're tight like that, but when we make it out of those times, and when we have the glory, awesome. They're right there with us too. So
I'll be the glory for that, man. That's great.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited about it too. Wanted to talk to you. So you do run your own like businesses and stuff like that. You said something specific. There was like between capitalism and what was the other one? Or
free enterprise, I would say.
Yeah. No, it was so it was free enterprise, and what was the other one though? It was like social. It was almost like a social thing.
Oh, socialism?
Something like that. I forget exactly what you said, but like I just find it interesting how the world really is going to this like it's almost like everybody wants to have their own little business, and you see everybody has their side gigs, and to be successful you have to have a side gig, right? But it almost seems like the government and like that the world doesn't want you to do that, in a sense that they want you, they'd much rather you stick to your 9 to 5 and like the more successful you are, the less they're needed by you in a sense.
100%, yeah. Because they want compliance, so they can control us, and they can tax us and sedate us, make sure that we're high on dopamine, things that produce dopamine, such as porn and such as alcohol and drugs. And I'm not saying the people who participate in that are particularly bad people, or those things in themselves are bad. I think that they're essentially processed version of what the good things that you're supposed to get out of it. And these are supposed to be serendipitous things. They're not supposed to be the core of what we chase all the time. You're not supposed to be chasing the dragon of dopamine via YouTube, chasing the dragon of dopamine via porn, the dopamine, the dopamine from approval on social media or sugar or those things. Although, like, I think I've been guilty for pretty much all of them at some point in my life.
Sure.
But all those things essentially are processed versions of what's God really has in store for us. So porn, what is porn? Porn is essentially getting this fake approval and respect from this person online who's pretending that they actually do so. It's processed sex. It's what it is. It's not real. It's
when
not
you're
what
intended
sex
to get married and actually have someone do that for you, kind of thing. Yeah.
If you look at porn, it's all like the kind of stuff that they say your wife's not going to talk to you like that. So don't. But she might. But you do want that level of approval, so that's why people kind of go to that. You're not going to get those kind of reactions from. You're not going to be in those positions. You're not going to do those things. It's giving your brain such a false sense of like what love actually is. You may good sex is not that. Good sex is something different. It's much deeper than that. And
and just on that for a second, like I don't know if we were even saying this before, but like, just the fact that I've been married, I've had a chance, you get to practice, and it's like, it's, I remember, when I was having, different girls and stuff like that, it's like, I thought I was good, and it's just like,
you don't have the skills, man.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, you don't understand how good sex can be until you are married. Honestly, I feel like.
Yeah, there's definitely something magical about that being within the context of marriage.
So you think it's all connected too, right? Like I think everything's connected.
Yeah.
Like, if that person is being like that, like, it, the whole point of a Christian to me is that you love that person no matter what. You might not like let them eat supper with you or something, but at the same time, Jesus would,
Yeah,
like,
he did.
and it's just like, we're supposed to say, what would Jesus do, kind of thing. I mean, I don't know if that's biblical or whatever, but like, it's just like,
Said, "I am holy, therefore be holy." So in a way,
yeah, exactly. And it's like, to me, it's like, let them be them and you be you. And if they see the light in you and they want it, they'll want a taste of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's how I think that society should live, and that's how I think that, yeah, we really should be interacting with each other, and it's,
100%.
it's just like this, like, yeah, if you want to be the way you are, that's fine. Don't force me to, do it, but like, we can live coexistingly together, and I'm going to live the way I want to live. You live the way you want to live. And, hopefully you see the light in me, kind of thing,
Yeah.
especially as a Christian.
Well, I see light in you, man. I'll tell you that.
I
Brother.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because there's dark days, man.
For all of us, man. I hope you see the light in me. The thing with me is I speak very strongly. It's all good.
I mean, you're pretty dark, but
oh man, here he goes again. And you're way too bright.
I am.
You're way too bright, man. What I was saying is, so, oh yeah, you asked me a question before, and I was talking about processed things. So I was saying porn is processed sex, and then of course there's processed food that we live on, and then there's processed relationships, which is social media. And then there's the other thing as well is processed income, which is being kind of in the loop of the rat race of 9 to 5, paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
All that is a processed version of like what we're supposed to typically have. And the way to not have processed these is to actually go and like put ourselves out there and be a little bit more adventurous.
Yeah.
So rather than finding friends on social media and making communities like that, is actually going out and person making communities.
Yeah.
Processed, success or money or whatever it is, or income, relying on a government to pay you, or relying on I guess you would say just like a job for the rest of your life. It's always important to have a job. I have a job as well, but my mentality is like you and like most people is trying to work our way out of there, is to be brave and courageous and step into the world of entrepreneurship and understand the mindset that's required to be able to break through in that sense, and also as well as get out of processed food. You have to be inconvenienced to actually buy whole food and cook it and make it and eat it. So all of that, I think the difficulties to be able to do that is the merit of the difficulties to get the whole food, the whole life that we get instead of the cheap versions of, is being discouraged to pursue by our educational system, by our governmental system, by media, and we're just so indoctrinated, I would say, to just go chase money so that we can spend it with these companies. And these companies get bolstered and bigger, and then they have brands and whatever it is. And then you then go ahead and use the rest of your time to then numb out in front of TV, in front with with drugs or with alcohol or with more dopamine. So that's the thing is like you use your body as a battery, and then as a compensation, you get the dopamine hits of the success of these other companies. So these other companies are so successful from having you work for them that they reward you by the product that's going to dim you down so you can work for them again the next day. So you can just tolerate your life.
Yeah.
I don't think we've been put on earth to tolerate our lives.
No.
That's an unfortunate thing, and I hope that people just find whatever ways and whatever manners to find a way to break out of that rat race.
Yeah.
That's my hope for people.
I like that. I'm just gonna reset it. Oh, I have till whenever, basically.
Okay.
But
I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No,
I'm having
no.
fun here.
no, I have a blast with this. I like for me, I'm like I'm at home, so I can just go home and I'm fine, right? But like I don't want to keep my guests too long or.
Oh man, this is cool. I like talking. As you can see, I'm a long-winded kind of a person. I like to break down and disseminate my thoughts and ideas into soliloquies.
It's cool that you can though. It's cool that you can. Sometimes for me, I have to like jump around and like it's funny. I'll completely not finish something that I'm saying and then like jump to it, but then I'll come back to it.
It's hard to string thoughts together. I've learned to do this. It's something I was born with. Again, going back to my story, I was I didn't speak English till I was about 13, grade 7 or grade 7, 13 years old or so.
But you were in Canada for a while.
I was in Montreal though.
Okay.
French.
My
early childhood. Just because Montreal is a French country and Congo is a French country. Montreal's a French country. Montreal is a French city, and usually people who come from French countries, like especially African countries or places or Vietnam, because they speak a lot of French in Vietnam too, I think, they move to Montreal when they come to Canada. And then they realize, oh my goodness, you can't get ahead in this province because they actually don't care for you to do so. They are they're conservative in a different way, where they're conservative about the culture. They want to conserve the original Quebec culture over everything and anything. It's Quebec over everything, and they're not afraid to tell you that. It is what it is. And so you have to, but you're just like, maybe there's a greener pastures elsewhere. So that's when we end up out west, where there's high economy. A great way to raise your children is out here in Alberta, but my goodness, it's cold. You just got to put up with it.
Apparently, though, like I don't know if you've experienced like winter in Saskatoon or anything like that, but like to me it gets colder as you go east, like and more snow, like like Newfoundland, they get like insane amounts of snow and stuff like that. Like it's crazy. We actually, I feel like we have it. We get -40, and maybe they might not get -40 over there, but they got like with the humidity and stuff like that. Apparently it cuts different. I don't know. But we've had way less snow in the years too. I don't know if you remember at all. Like, when did you move to Alberta?
98.
98. Okay, yeah. So yeah, for me, around that time, I remember my dad. Like, we had an acreage, and there was snow drifts literally up to like the middle of the barn kind of thing, where the roof came down to or whatever. And like there was, and I mean, I was shorter back then too, but like the snow, there was a lot more snow back then.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot less snow.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I don't care much about the snow.
No, as the older I get, and I loved growing up. I would snowboard all the time, do stuff like that all the time.
Cool.
But like now that I don't have time for that as a dad kind of thing, or as a husband, I do not like the winter. No.
Yeah. We try to do different things as a family. We're trying to see whatever homeschool skiing trips we can take.
Yeah.
We take those and we
Do you ski?
I do, yeah.
Are you good?
I'm not really.
No.
I would say I'm like average.
Yeah.
At best.
You can you make it down like the mountains kind of thing, or?
Man, I haven't been in a long time to the mountains. I usually go to Rabbit Hill or
Nice.
Snow Valley,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could. I don't really test myself. I mean, I could go down the Black Diamond. I'd just rather not.
Yeah. Okay,
Because
cool.
if I fall, man,
Yeah.
I have a lot of weight. So
So do you rent skis or do you own them?
I just rent them.
Yeah.
I don't own them.
I haven't owned gear in like like that in such a long time.
I'm not that serious. I think you own it when it's something you do like every weekend. If you're gonna go skiing like 20 times a winter, then yeah. But I go like 3-4 times a winter.
My buddies actually, they used to go all the time. So I mean, they're older now or whatever. But yeah, they're still buying. I mean, my one friend, he's like single and making a lot of money, so he has nothing else to spend money on. So might as well.
If you're single, that's your time to shine for
go
you.
do it. Yeah,
it's the only time you can be selfish after. It's so crazy. Life changes so much when you get married, and then even more once you.
Well, actually, he did get married, and he went through a divorce kind of thing, which is unfortunate for him. But like something my other friend said to me was that like, oh, we should be using this time, wisely, kind of thing, because like he's gonna eventually get married again, he's eventually gonna get tied down again, right? And it's like, we have all this time in the world with our friend. We should, take the opportunity, I guess, in a sense. So
yeah, man. I think people underestimate the power of your singleness.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much power behind that because nothing can really tie you down. You can actually create and set goals that are as big as you ever want to do, and you can really prioritize your life to seek purposeful endeavors and set yourself up for the family that you're going to have if it's important to you.
Yeah.
But I find that a lot of people that are single, this again, just my thoughts. They fall to the YOLO trap.
Yeah, wasted.
Wasted. It's like, man, partying and living for yourself, not really setting something up. Which I understand. There's an allure to it. There seems to be like it's like walking down the candy aisle. It's like wow, it's gonna be so great once I eat these candies. If I buy them, it'll be so awesome. Then once you eat them, you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
it's pretty empty. And I think if you just invest in like working out and eating healthy instead, then it'll be way more satisfying, than eating candy. So the analogy is that, there's like a big power in using your singleness to focus on God, like to really have a strong relationship with Christ, and to find intimacy with Him, and to feel complete and full and whole. In His presence and in His Word, number one. And number two, to then become the husband or the wife that you wish to then be. Because you don't just turn it on. You don't act like an idiot or a fool and then become a wise husband.
Yeah, no.
If you make foolish decisions, So like invest into your wisdom in that sense. Invest into your health. Like it's an investment period where it's unencumbered.
Yeah, if you have the opportunity to do that as a single person, take it, kind of thing. Because if you go for some like me, where I didn't use my singleness wisely, I used it really poorly, and then I had to learn how to do all this, and I'm still learning how to do all this as a husband now and as a father. And it's like, yeah, God, I know I have to connect with you, but I have to connect with my wife and my kids, and I have to go to work, and I have to it's just like, I wish I would have learned. I wish, and it's not. Again, I'm not trying to be like, this isn't one of those like woulda, shoulda, couldas kind of thing. Yeah. It is kind of one. It's like whatever. Now it is what it is, and I have to deal with it, and it's like something that God and I are working through, right? But like, yeah, if I have thought, it's like, yeah, I should have used that time more wisely in a sense, as a single person.
But it's we can always have our future self thank us for our current decisions.
Yeah,
because we're still young.
Yeah, exactly.
Our 30s.
Yeah,
you're in your 30s, right?
I am 30. Yeah.
Yeah, you're 30. Yeah. So that's still super.
And you?
Young. I'm 37.
37. Yeah.
Just turned 37 about 3 weeks ago. It's crazy, man. When you get on the dirty side of 30, you start really thinking like, okay, all right. Am I on the right path? You ask yourself a lot of questions. I see where people have midlife crisis in the next 10 years.
Yeah, because you're basically like halfway through. You're not halfway through life, but you're you're like you might be. Yeah, you might be. But like you're almost you're over the hill to your working career almost, kind of thing, in a sense. So it's like, okay, so now these next 15 to 20 years or whatever kind of thing, maybe more for some people, whatever. What am I going to do? What's going to be the next?
And did you set yourself up properly that you can actually reap the benefits of your work in the next 10 years, or are you behind the ball or whatever? Then like, there's a lot of questions starts popping in young men's heads. Like, geez, did I make the right financial decision, I picked the right career, that I do the right things. If not, you're like, panic, midlife crisis.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, having identity in Christ is the best way to keep away from having a midlife crisis, I think.
Yeah.
Because you're not validated by your work, you're not validated by the things that you've attained.
Yeah.
You're validated by, of course, His blood, and that's it. That's all.
Yeah, and I've kind of found a new definition with, like I've always had an identity in Christ, I guess. But having God be your joy kind of thing, and I've kind of found, to me that doesn't mean that I'm always happy.
Right.
And I that's what I always thought it meant. I always thought that it meant, like, because I'm a Christian, I should just always be happy because I'm a Christian and I have God and I'm blessed, or whatever kind of thing. And so that was just another thing that I was beating myself down for, that I'm like, why aren't you happy about this, or why aren't you, or whatever kind of thing. But I think for me, what I found was that, no, it doesn't mean that I'm always going to be happy, but I know that I'm taken care of in a sense, I just know that I'm not alone, and that things will be okay.
Right.
That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, and that doesn't mean that it's not going to be sad, or you're not going to, it's not going to affect me negatively, but my joy isn't in this moment right here.
Exactly.
My joy is in the future kind of thing, and so it's like, it's not about being happy constantly. It's about the happiness to come kind of thing, in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's an assurance that the King of Kings is with you, no matter how bad things get. But yeah, you're right. Happy has never really been said in the Bible.
No. Like Jesus went through like the 40 days and nights, whatever, without anything, right? You think that he was happy the whole time? No. But he knew that in the end this was meant for a greater purpose, kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, happy. Yeah, being happy is it's a moment in time that passes and goes and it comes, right? It's just like being hurt. You can be happy now, you stub your toe, you're not happy anymore. You're happy again, and then you have a bad burrito, you're not happy anymore. So that's not what it's all about. It's about being content and purposeful. I think those things, if you're content, I think that's an identity thing in a way. It's like, what I mean by that is, and you understand that you have the confidence to navigate through whatever life throws your way. So you can live in the peace that, through prayer, through focus, trust in God, and through the strength that I get through Him, whatever comes my way, I'll be able to find peace within it. I may not be happy. I may not be, I may not be jubilant all the time, but I'm okay with whatever it is that I do feel, because I know that eventually I'll have peace. It'll then come over me later on, and that's pretty priceless. It's very hard to explain to people who don't have a faith.
No, yeah.
But ultimately, all of us have that coping mechanism anyways, and for some people who don't have a faith, that just may be, again, dopamine.
There's one time I remember explaining, faith or something. I just remember it being kind of like a intimate moment with a person, and I thought, I could feel the presence of God, and so I was just like, kind of seeing it in their eyes. It almost looked like they were also feeling it, but really what they were doing, they were just like mirroring my face kind of thing or whatever. Not on purpose. It was just kind of naturally happening. And so I was like, oh, do you feel that too? And they're like, no, what do you what do you mean? They just didn't understand, It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I've never really felt
really
those things. Like, it's been metaphysical, but it's never shown itself physically in my life. Like, I've never like teared up and cried all over the place because I felt saved. That was not my experience. I've never people have been like, man, I felt the Spirit when I was talking to him. Like, man, I get it. I feel the Spirit when I listen to Ocean because the chords are really, really drawing.
So you do know.
I do believe it.
So you do, like, when you feel that. You do know of a time that you have kind of felt it in a sense or whatever, and that you think through that song you almost do feel something.
I see. I tend to question my feelings a lot of the time.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I have a feeling,
Yeah.
I usually ask myself the question, okay, well, what is this feeling? Where does this come from? And I've been challenged before by my friends that are more like conservative Christians. They're like, who don't listen to contemporary Christian music. It's not about that. And one thing someone said is like, okay, well, are you feeling the Spirit of God, or are you feeling the melodramatic chords that are played while the song is playing? Because music has a powerful effect
Sure.
on your mood.
Yeah.
Watch a movie,
Yeah.
Titanic. I mean, like even that Celine Dion song to this day makes people cry. You listen to a song from like your childhood and you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
So
I listen to techno music all week. I just want to party at the end of it.
there you go. Yeah. So like I question the way that I feel. I kind of have a little more of a pragmatic, approach to
Like
my
logical kind of thing, right?
faith. Yeah, logical. I would say pragmatic.
What is pragmatic?
Which part is like
explain pragmatic.
Oh, just like matter of fact.
Okay,
I believe that God is real. Christ died for me. Through His blood I'm healed, and I'm saved by faith and not by works. Like I believe those things, but I don't get swept up by emotions in life a lot of the time. By very few things sweep me up in emotions. So I respect and I believe that it's true. Like I don't think that it's a farce when people do feel that, but I personally have never felt those experiences, and I used to feel so bad about that because everyone else around would feel that, and I was like, I would fake it, and I'm like, am I not saved because I don't feel like crying at this moment?
Yeah.
And then I felt like, but I do hear God's voice though, which is different, and the way that God speaks to me is in like through thought processes. It's like He just implements a thought in my head, like a why question, then I dig deep, then I read the Bible, and then I'm like, that's the answer that I was looking for. That's how God connects with me. It's the brain that He gave me.
So have you realized, like, as you've gotten older, the way you're saying it, that to me it's like, well, like, we need people in the church to stand strong in their faith and to be able to just be able to look at this and be like, no, it says it in the Bible. God says it. I'm going to believe it. And I'm not going to cry about it. So I feel like we need people like that in the church.
Okay, if you feel so.
I never. Okay,
yeah,
100%.
I appreciate that.
Because, like, yeah, like you need to have that level of confidence, and because I think that all the time when you don't have with people that don't have that level of confidence, where it's just like, yeah, it's God said it, and I don't, you're kind of like the firstborn son, or like. The secondborn, he went off and he did his own thing or whatever. But the firstborn, he just did it because
it's the right thing to
it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And like he still went to heaven. It didn't say that he didn't say that he wasn't going to heaven or anything like that. He just might not have had that spiritual relationship with God, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't batting for him all the time and doing what God asked him to do and stuff like that.
Well said. That's true. Yeah, maybe I am that guy. I'm the oldest son.
Yeah.
Because I am the firstborn in my family.
Yeah. And that's something that I've always thought too, is that like, even for me with like love, that's something that like, when I first, and I love my mom and we've gone through this and everything like that. But, when I first moved out of my home, one of the things I said to her was like, I just don't feel loved in the home and stuff like that. I feel like, you just want me here to mow the lawn basically or whatever, and like, and she looks at me and she's like, well, of course I love you. Like, what are you, stupid kind of thing, and it's just like, that was what my love was just like, yeah, of course I love you. Like, why do I have to show you that I love you kind of thing?
Yeah.
And so that was the same thing with me and God kind of thing, where it's just like, yeah, of course you're real. Of course you're God. Like, why do I have to, it did get to a point now, things are a bit more emotional or whatever.
Good.
But
I think it's a good thing, by the way, disclaimer. I think it's a good thing. I just personally have never felt it. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, no, but I just don't think it's a bad thing that you've never felt
Thank
that.
You.
I 100% don't. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, because I think that you need people in the church to look like they're just strong, and that like they need to like just you're kind of you're kind of like the poster child kind of thing, you know, in a sense. You're able to stand there, and every picture you're looking, you represent kind of thing, in a good way, I think, because I don't think you want, um, yeah, you don't want everybody that's in God's army just to be sitting there like crying and you want people that are strong, and you don't want people that are be like, oh, devil, you want people to be like, fuck off, devil, get out of here, it's just
except for when we use that type of language.
Yeah.
I was raised by a black mom, so unlike you white folks, you can use words like that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No, like my mom, like my teacher would be like, yeah, it would be like, yo, Steven was swearing in class today, and you'd be like, oh, that little shit kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, white people. Love man. Y'all. You guys are great. My wife is white. Disclaimer for everyone who's listening.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I love white. My kids are half white. I love white people. But man, you guys have a potty mouth and get away with it.
No, but like, I think that's just in Canada, though. I think, once you get into the States, like, I don't know, I feel like black people swear pretty good too.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the truth. That's a true thing too. But if you were raised by a black mom that had sense, who grew up in the church,
yeah.
I mean, even if she didn't grow up in the church,
no, yeah.
She just.
So did you guys have a slipper, or was it just straight hand kind of thing?
With like smack?
Yeah. Or
belt. It was the belt.
Belt, yeah.
And then it was the spoon, and then when my mom couldn't hurt me no more, then it was like the broom,
yeah.
And then it stopped.
My mom, because my mom had to get creative eventually, right?
Yeah.
And it was like she couldn't do damage to me. But I had to go find my own stick at some point. It was But she
hangers. That's what.
She what she would maybe do is clear out my entire room and put it in the garage or like somewhere in where it wasn't affecting anybody else kind of thing. And I had just my blanket and my pillow. And I had to sleep on the floor like that for like 2 weeks or whatever kind of thing.
Hey, yeah, whatever works.
It worked pretty good.
So, but you were saying that we need people to also be strong and tell the devil that, hey, man, like I'm not that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And I think I'm more built that way. Maybe it comes from having a military dad. My dad is that guy as well.
Yeah.
He showed his passion and love for Christ. But he also was very much a stoic person when it came down to showing his emotions, which had put me on a journey by watching his example, where I had to learn how to show my empathy and my emotions, show that I actually care about what people think or say or do. That's why I'm very loving now. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't always a thing.
So was he very loving then?
He was very loving, but he also was just like, man, like, let's not catastrophize things here.
Yeah.
Like, why is it that people are making a deal out of good things and bad things?
Yeah,
like, things are what they are. Deal with them, and let's figure it out. Yeah. And that's what my approach is as well. And then I think that I took that from my dad, and then that's also, with in the church, that's like the thing that I have. And one thing that I have a hard time with today is the contemporary worship, as it is nowadays. I don't think it's a bad thing. I just don't connect with it that well. I do connect with Christian hip hop a lot. We talked about this because of the vast level of lyrics that are in a good Christian song, and the way that they construct the story and the way that they construct the message. By Lecrae or Andy Mineo or KB, those people, they do such a good job of like, putting lines out there that makes you be like, yeah, like it intellectually stimulates me. Yeah. Whereas, sure, Oceans is awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's a great song, but I don't relate to like songs that try to draw me to an emotional peak.
Sure, yeah. I feel you.
I'm more drawn to intellectual peaks than emotional peaks. Yeah. And then so nowadays, this past like decade plus, most of Christian worship has been that.
Yeah.
It's been hipster style of music, which I do not relate to. Never
super
have.
Low, and
super
then get
low.
Really high in the end.
Yeah, exactly. It's like exactly is that.
Yeah,
and do I have a problem with it? I don't. I just don't personally relate with it. I grew up hip hop. I grew up, gospel. I grew up with a lot of African, type of music that made us move, and then so that's just what I relate to the most. And then so I guess the new way of worship I don't really connect with that much, but I still worship God in a different way. I still use that time to like worship God by like praying during those moments and by exalting His majesty and And but yeah, I've had a few conversations with people who are just like, you don't like that stuff. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know, you're supposed to. I'm like, well, this is like because of the Hillsong Church that was established in the '80s. That's why we have this music. Up until that point, we never had this music.
Yeah.
Up until this point, it was different stuff.
Yeah. Well, and like the cool thing I like about hip hop too is that like you can have. I mean, I guess you could do that with anything, but it just seems like, if I need like a build me up playlist kind of thing,
Right.
there's so many songs in there where like, especially Tripoli's new song where it's like I was built for this, and it's like I was built for this, and it's just like, okay, yeah, I can do this, I can pump up, and I can do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't want to sit there, because I do like that worshipy stuff. But like sometimes I don't want to sit there and cry, So like sometimes I just want to like get pumped up, and like I just want to like I want to like I don't think that and that's the thing too is I don't think Jesus. I think Jesus is crying with the ones who need to cry with or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the guys that he's also there being like, yo, you got this, you got this, yo, oh, let's go, like that's it's just these chairs.
Oh, I was like, okay, yeah,
no, yeah. So it's just like he's also like that in a sense too, and so like I think he's just as much a hipster as he is a gangster, and it's just
gangster. Jesus is a gangster. He's a total G.
Actually, there's a funny little drawing or whatever, and it's like Jesus is doing the windmill in front of like the 12 disciples or whatever.
Jesus didn't come here to get served.
Yeah.
That's
so good.
Yeah, that's a good meme. It's fun. It's a fun meme. The Son of Man didn't come here to get served, but to serve. It's hilarious. That's true. Yeah, and I think society has really made Jesus to be like the stoic person who only spoke in wise sayings and was always like stone faced when he said things. That's what like all the depictions. But as I read the Bible more and more, and I read through like the Beatitudes, and I read through how he responded to the Pharisees, he was extremely sarcastic to them. Mm-hmm. Right? They're like, how could you even come here and it's like, why are you guys worshiping this him? And when he came to Jerusalem, and then he's like, even if the people didn't speak, the rocks would cry out, right? So that's he's being sarcastic. And then when people talk about when he he saves the prostitute because she was caught in the act of adultery, and then he says, okay, stone her. Only if whoever has with no sin cast the first stone. That to me sounds like a comedy moment, taunting all right, you want to stone her? I see him doing like this. Stone her then. Oh, hold on though. Let one of the first of you guys who has no sin go ahead. But it says as well, before he did so, he was writing in the dirt. Mm-hmm. And then I've heard that from different pastors saying that he might have been writing their sins down to make it visible. So like John, this is your sin. Caiaphas, this is your sin. Yahma, this is your sin. Whatever it is. And then he's like, all right, now that I've put your sin down, like it's like a roasting moment, right? I feel like Jesus was full of roast.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, like even like people say like God isn't funny, and I'm like, yo, God created the fart, man. Yeah, like, funny. Like I'm pretty sure every time someone lets one rip, he's just like, I did that, nice one kind of thing,
Yeah,
I think it could have sounded just like a,
Mm-hmm. And then when he roasted Peter to his face, when he was like, what did he say to him again? He said to him, when Peter's like, I'm gonna stay with you, and then he's like, if they die, they're gonna die. I'm gonna have to kill me too. Then Jesus is like, dude, by the time the rooster crows 3 times, you're gonna run away from me. Like to me, I don't think it was like a Peter. Listen to me. I thought he was more like, really? Yeah. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I know the future.
Yeah. No, I think. Well, and that's the cool thing. Actually, I'm just gonna stop.
That Jesus was probably a lot funnier than we make him out to be.
Well, one of the things I like about have you seen The Chosen? Or
I watched a few episodes. I didn't get really. I don't watch much TV.
No, that's fine. Yeah. But one of the things I like about it is that, and even actually, there's a new movie, Journey to Bethlehem.
Okay.
You should see that. Lecrae's in it. Actually, it's pretty good. Yeah.
All right.
It's a really good movie too. It's a musical. It's pretty fun.
Thank you.
My kids loved it actually. And I have songs from it stuck in my head all the time. But one of the things with the movies or just any sort of like Christian play that you saw, you almost like quote the Bible word for word, and when you read the Bible, it's this thy, thou, ha, blah, very whatever, you get what I'm trying to say, right?
I read the CV just so you know.
Yeah,
Contemporary English version.
Yeah. Yo, what's up, guys?
No, it's just modern English.
No, yeah,
Makes
no.
sense to me.
No, but um, like you never got the emotion out of it. You see the words, but you don't really get the emotion out of it until you have someone explain. You could go to church and someone would be like, okay, well, if he said this, and that means he was probably feeling this, and and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. But then you get to see it on the shows like The Chosen and this new movie that I was saying too, and you really get to. They really worked on building up each character, and you can see who they are as a person, and not just and an individual kind of thing, and not just like not just their part in the story or whatever, but it's just like who they are, and you get to really the way I'm trying to explain it. You feel the emotion that the Bible is trying to portray. The Bible is a black and white. To me, it's like it's right or wrong, right? And so to me, the Bible, yeah, there's so many songs, and the way you can read it, then you can get out that emotion. But if you don't understand how to do that, or you've never really been shown that, even old Christian movies and stuff like that, I remember this one movie, it was called Jesus, and it's super old. It was probably from the 70s or something like that. But it was like
that one.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's the one that we all watched growing
up. And it's like
there's the one before The Passion came out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's a good movie, but it doesn't show like the real, and even The Passion doesn't. It shows the brutalness of the Jesus, but it doesn't show like the actual character of Jesus. It shows what we did to him or what the Romans did to him, kind of thing. But it doesn't show his love in a sense or whatever. And that's one thing I like about The Chosen, is that it so shows that Jesus was like, he had a personality, and it wasn't just this like this biblical character, that we read about, and it was he was very goofy, and and this is and we don't know exactly if Jesus was like this, but these people studied the Bible enough, to get probably the same ideal about Jesus that you kind of get, that like, oh, he's not sitting there, if you were saying this to a person, you wouldn't be sitting there being like, thou who has the first, you'd be like, who hasn't sinned here, guys?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, which one of you guys step up?
Yeah, like, because we don't talk like that. Nobody talks like that.
Yeah.
Nobody ever talked like that. Everybody was always an individual, and it was very, there might have been a more proper time or whatever, but still not back then, like everybody was in rags and, walking around in sand kind of thing, like I don't think it was a very, snooty time kind of thing, right? And like, it's cool to see the emotion and just to understand that like Jesus was a real person, or like just, you get to see the 12 disciples and stuff like that, and you just get to, oh, they're just real people. They're just people that went through crap, and like that, they just happened to be there when like, don't get me wrong, they were chosen, to be the 12th disciple or whatever kind of thing, but it's like that could have been anyone. It wasn't that like, I don't think that like those 12 people could have been the only 12 people. You know what I mean? I think that it was just that, they were there at the right moment, and God saw something in them. They grabbed it and they went with it, kind of thing, and like, but that doesn't mean that there couldn't have been another 12, because they really just seem like everyday people and regular Joes and stuff like that. And so you get what I'm trying to say? I'm not trying to be like blasphemous or anything like that, or whatever, not say that God didn't choose these, that they weren't perfectly curated, but it just does seem like Jesus doesn't need, he he doesn't need the perfect people. You know what I mean?
And they weren't perfect. And I think I don't know what the personalities might have been like, but I'm sure they had a lot of personalities. And there's clues of that through the Gospels, right? How James and John are arguing all the time, and John is always describing himself as the favorite of Jesus' favorite, and then the beloved one, and he's always talking to himself in that way, and then arguing with James about who's going to be at the right hand seat of God when he ascends, right? And then he becomes a Messiah, thinking that he's going to be like a God, a worldly ruler. So they're like, who's going to be at his right hand side? Like, there's a lot of petty things, right? And then when the Gospel of John, he's talking about like Peter and John ran to the tomb, and just so you know, John, the beloved one, got there faster. Talking about himself in there. So there's definitely personalities of like how they dealt with things. Peter, like, cutting off people, like impulsive, and the first one to step out off the boat to walk on water. Cut off the ear of the soldier, to actually stay behind during the crucifixion and during the trial, when everyone else has run away. I think he's the first one to do a miracle by helping the
stand up,
the beggar stand up. Him and Peter and John, and so like he has an initiative type personality. So there's perspective personality, right? They're out there. There's clues that they weren't just stoic, perfect people. They were imperfect, impatient. They were, they had self-image issues like John, I might think sometimes, well, the young John at least. There's, God doesn't really, like, he uses crooked sticks, right? Because they can still draw straight lines. So,
like, he had like self-image, like.
It's kind of a joke, but he's always talking to himself about like. And I was the beloved, God, Jesus' favorite, and his closest friend. Like he like always puts in the gospel in there that I was his closest buddy. I'm Jesus' best friend.
That's funny.
And then he gets appointed to take care of Jesus' mom upon the crucifixion, and it's his gospel. He puts that in there as well.
That's funny.
Matthew, Mark, and Luke don't put that in there, but he does.
Interesting. I wonder too. I wonder what stories didn't make it into the Bible.
Yeah, the Catholic Bible has, I think, 6 more books than the Protestant Bible.
And like, are those accurate? Like, do we know?
I don't really know.
Yeah.
That's an interesting conversation.
I guess we don't really know that the Bible's accurate too. It's just we believe it.
I believe that it's infallible. It's perfect. It's accurate. I believe that the Word of God was inspired by each person who wrote it and the council that put it together.
Yeah.
I believe that, but the process of it, I don't really know. I don't really know the depth of the process of it. I just trust. This is really like a faith thing. And I don't know all the reasons why some didn't make it. I think some of them, like the Council of Nicaea, had a lot of processes to it. Some of them were unauthentic texts that were written much later after the Gospels. So the Gospel of Thomas, everyone kind of disputes that, saying it should be in there, but that was not written by Thomas. It was written way later after Thomas died. The Book of Enoch, which was supposed to be before Genesis, but I think there's some things that says that it was written after Genesis, using Genesis as like a like a template to make its story.
Interesting.
So there's been some studying that's happened with ancient people that they deducted that the 66 books that we have, that we personally follow, are canonized. The Catholics believe there's extra things, and I think there may be in the Greek, the Orthodox Church of the Eastern, the Eastern churches. I think they may have a different count of books as well, maybe less, maybe more. I'm not 100% sure.
So is that the Catholics that like believe that Mother Mary, like Mary, was the chosen one kind of thing instead, like the holy one kind of thing?
Well,
like,
she is chosen.
She was,
She was
don't get me
chosen.
wrong, but like the way I've had it described to me was that like Jesus wasn't like Jesus wasn't the son, like in a sense, where Mary was more the God or whatever, and that's why they pray to Mother Mary kind of thing or whatever.
if you do that, it's absolute blasphemy and it's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know all the beliefs. I don't think that. I think that they do believe in Jesus as a savior of the world and as an infallible Son of God and God Himself. I think we have that triune belief that He is the Son of God and He is God as well.
There's different levels of Catholicism too, right?
Yeah, they do have the creed. I think if I'm correct, I don't want to speak for them, but I know that they don't worship Mary, but they really hold her on a high reverence to a way where they ask for her to pray for certain people. Where it's like, okay, I guess, but why don't you just pray yourself? You get direct access to the CEO. Like, why do you have to go through the secretary? Like, it doesn't. She's a fallible human being who. That's what I think is. I've heard. But I haven't looked deeply into it.
Yeah.
I think that Mary it says in the Bible that Mary, you've been chosen among women because of her righteous heart and her righteous spirit, and that is a phenomenal example of a motherhood and of a pure young woman that God can use somebody like that. And I won't downplay that because God uses women in massive ways to usher His kingdom.
Yeah.
So going back to Jesus, I can't remember the names, but Ruth and Esther. I mean, Esther being actually in the lineage of Jesus. Ruth being in the lineage of Jesus. Esther being the deliverer of the Jewish people in forming around the Persian Empire. And if you go back as well, the prostitute that helps Joshua and Caleb to take down the town of Canaan. Was it Canaan? I forget exactly. For those who actually know the stories, guys, if I get it wrong, I'm sorry.
And I don't read my Bible enough, so I'm just like listening to
I read it every single day. I read it, but I'm not a good retainer. But I definitely read, and every single day I make sure I do so. Me and my family, my kids, we always do. Because it is the Word of God. Yeah. But, I don't want to discount that God has a plan for women as well. Yeah. Because the disciples are on that level of being chosen to really spread the word after.
Yeah. Just 1 second, sorry.
I think as we were saying that, edifying the role of women in the Bible is also very important. Like, regardless of what society would have said about women then and how illegitimate the testimony was, God still showed Himself first to Mary Magdalene, a prostitute, who's a woman, saying that she has value. He put Mary in a pickle where character had to be developed, where she was pregnant before marriage and not having had sex with her husband. So could you imagine the kind of stuff that she would have had to go through as a young lady, probably a teenager, 14, 15 or so, and pregnant before she's married in that time where it was really bad, and she's saying, God got me pregnant.
Actually, that's the cool thing about that movie that I was saying, that Journey to Bethlehem. It gives a cool like little like description of like what Mary went through, and just her being, even just like she's sitting there just like, Joseph, come on, like just believe me. And it's just like,
I wouldn't.
Like, for sure. Yeah, it'd be hard, and it's like, it's pretty interesting, to see, her just get totally thrown out by, her future husband, and like just a walk, a week's worth or whatever to her auntie or whatever kind of thing. And it's just, it's crazy. Yeah.
Man, that is pretty tense. But anyway, so I think that there is a phenomenal attribute to who Mary is, and she is the mother of our Savior. Great, that's her place in history. Let's honor that. But she does not need to be prayed to. She does not need to be on structures. It is not our focus. Our focus is the cross. Because it's just like we don't pray about the apostles, we don't pray about other people who have also contributed to the movement of ushering the kingdom of God. Yeah, we only focus on the kingdom of God. Why focus on the peripherals that bring it? These things are great, but they're not to be deified. I think you only deify Christ. That's what I think is right. And if people disagree with me, I'm so sorry. I really also don't care. But
yeah. No, I appreciate that you finished that entire thought too. I feel like I was making you go off or whatever. No, I don't know where to go from here, but
probably got to get going.
It's all good. I've really enjoyed this time with you, and I think I'm hoping this can happen again, and so
This is awesome. My first podcast ever.
It's fun.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
It's cool to like hear yourself and just hear someone over it and it's like, yeah, this is what it's gonna sound like. And
my voice sounds weird, man.
no,
When I hear myself, I'm like, man, you got a weird voice.
Yeah, that's so funny. But yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thanks, Stephen.
Appreciate
God bless, man. You're a blessing, and I hope that this thing really is able to reach people, and I hope there's value that was able to add. I'm just out here just riffing, talking about my thoughts.
No, I think
these are my thoughts.
This is gonna be, and I can already tell, just by, I want to have like, kind of my first couple episodes are gonna be, getting to know the people that I have on my podcast, and I want to have somewhat regulars as well as new people or whatever kind of thing. And I think that, just by talking to my friends, or doing one with my friends, and then now this one with you, you're going to be like the wise, the wise guest kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
I think that you have a lot of, knowledge to share about just life in general and how to succeed in life.
I'm opinionated. That's my problem.
But
Sorry,
like,
keep going.
I think you're doing good. I see, and maybe on the inside there, you definitely, you might look at your downfalls harder than I do or whatever, and I don't even see your downfalls, right? But
thanks, man.
for me, I see, you are practicing what you preach, and that is, as
I try. I just it's a focus that I have. But,
yeah.
Okay.
No, but as a guy who, honesty and integrity, those are huge things for me, and so I see that in you, and I'm excited for this relationship.
Yeah, me too, brother. Thanks
That's
a lot,
sick, bro.
man. God bless.
Cool, man. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Good night.
Peace.